Midladder players have always been a mystery to understand. Not many of us possess the knowledge of understanding these creatures. In their brains are many phenomenons that a lot of us aren't capable of understanding. Today, my fellow viewers, I shall have the honor of explaining to you how a Midladder player works. Before playing any match, a deck is required, and the way mid-ladder players build a deck is very fascinating. Starting off, they pick cards that seem strong individually. For example, Wizard. He has amazing splash damage, although they don't see the fact that he doesn't have much health. So sometimes you might find ones going for the Executioner. Or pick the Mega Knight, a card that deals amazing spawn damage at the start, jumps so it crosses distance easily, and is a tank that deals splash damage too. So you might find a deck that has Prince or Minion Horde or Arrows or generally cards with no synergy. They don't think about possible combos like Hog Rider and Firecracker, Lava Hound and Balloon. Anything that comes close to synergy or the slightest bit of thought crushes their mind. Instead, they pick cards based on how strong they sound. You might find rare species that pick Lumberloon, aka Lumberjack and Balloon, or Hog Rider and Ice Golem. Other than these two combinations, you will not find any other synergy because mid-ladder players do not have the intelligence to build a synergy on their own. Instead, they go for the infamous Mega Knight and Wizard because it sounds like a broken synergy on paper. So, in conclusion, mid-ladder players pick cards based on individual strength and completely neglect synergy. Mid-ladder players tend to pick cards that, again, sound strong on their own. Take an example, Electro Giant. He's a giant that can defend himself against swarms, which are popular in mid-ladder. And sometimes if you find someone playing Hog Rider or anything like that that is sensitive to swarms, they might pair it with a small spell like Arrows. And why specifically Arrows and not Zap or something? Because Arrows have a wide radius which covers up for the average mid-ladder player's intelligence that makes them unable to properly place spells, for example like Zap, with a tiny radius. Additionally, you might find some picking super heavy cards like Mega Knight, Witch, P.E.K.K.A, or stuff like that in the same deck. They also go for cards with high HP because they do not want to defend a push using multiple cards because that requires too much intelligence. Instead, they go for a card like the P.E.K.K.A or Elite Barbarians because they are heavy, do a lot of damage, have a lot of HP, and can mostly take care of situations. As for combinations like Ice Spirit and Cannon, or a Skeleton and Cannon, for example, to counter a balloon, or to counter bats and cannon to counter a balloon by pushing it aside, that requires way too much thought. Another important point to mention is that they like win conditions a lot. Goblin Barrel, Princess, X-Bow. Mid-ladder players love dealing damage. Another important point to mention is that they are sensitive to towers. Why? Because they don't attack. They're just things that stay in one spot, so mid-ladder players have an allergy towards buildings. Because it doesn't fit the next point I'll be discussing about mid-ladder players. In the ancient mid-ladder rules book, if you look at chapter 178, you'll find a rule that is underlined in red. Attack and attack. That's right, mid-ladder players could not care less about defense. Hence why, as I previously mentioned, mid-ladder players pick win conditions. Hog Rider, X-Bow, Mortar, Goblin Barrel, such cards really fit the mid-ladder instinct of attacking and attacking. So now you may be wondering, what do they use for defense? And you've also mentioned that they do not use buildings, which are great for defense. Easy answer, Mega Knight. A lot of mid-ladder players just use a level 15 Mega Knight. And if you find some other cases, you might find barbarians in lower ladder, and you might find elite barbarians sometimes, but elite barbarians are mostly used for offense. Occasionally, you might find a rocket player who will keep cycling rockets at your tower at triple elixir because they notice that their instinct has not been fulfilled. For example, if you have great defense, they will keep cycling rockets at your tower because they have no other reliable way of dealing damage. This is also why you might find, as I've already mentioned in the deck, 3 win conditions or 4. Why? Because that's all what matters to a mid-ladder player. Simply attacking. They are very aggressive, and also, even if they see you doing a big push, either they will bother defending with a Mega Knight or decide to go full beatdown mindset and just push at the other bridge, just like a golem player. An important opening to remember from a mid-ladder player is using a win condition at the very beginning of the match, or spamming all the cards on their hand first play if they are convenient. For example, E-Barbs, Rage, and maybe Mirror. Or maybe you put E-Barbs if they see you react with a card, put E-Barbs, Mirror, and another bridge, which are often over leveled. I forgot to mention that a lot of mid-ladder players use their main win condition and just go and hyper level it. I'm not even saying over leveled it. I have experienced as a level 12 player with an average level cards of 10 and 11, a level 14 Royal Recruits player. Why? Because they heavily rely on that win condition. And if you even dare be able to counter it, they will mostly rage quit. And an interesting question is, what if a mid-ladder player meets a mid-ladder player? Do they both just keep attacking? Well, not always, because there is one building that mid-ladder players exclude from their hatred list, which is the Inferno Tower, because it's their best defensive card. Because of the excess Royal Giants, Mega Knights, Goblin Giants, Mechas, etc., other tanks in mid-ladder players love Inferno Tower, the concept of cooking the opponent's push. And which brings us to another point, is that mid-ladder players overcommit a lot. For example, if you see a Mega Knight, you might defend with something like, I don't know, guards and maybe a little support card in the back, or maybe Evo Goblin Cage if you're lucky. But if a mid-ladder player sees Mega Knight, either they will defend with a Mega Knight, which is mostly over leveled compared to yours, or use an Inferno Tower, an Inferno Dragon, or the last option, quit. This one should be pretty obvious. Mid-ladder players, a lot of them are toxic. They use iconic emotes like the Yawning Princess, the Dancing Pig, or similar pins either when they're winning or losing. That's right. It's not the casual style of being toxic, oh I win so I gotta be toxic. They could even be losing and spam king laughing emotes just to make themselves feel better, just to stop themselves from raging, because deep inside they know they wanted to win and they didn't, so they cover up their rage in the form of laughs. They try to irritate you too, just to blow off some steam. Additionally, you might find a mid-ladder player spamming emotes in the middle of a match just to keep you distracted and make their big push. So a great way to counter mid-ladder players is just to mute emote. What do you need those emotes for? Maybe just put an emote at the end. So maybe when you look at a replay of an intense match you had against an over-leveled player, you find out that they were spamming emotes and then they lost, and that will give you a relaxing feeling. And that's it for understanding a mid-ladder player. I hope you guys liked the video, and in case I missed out on a point, do point it out, and I'll see you in the next one.